Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Excuse the grogginess. I've literally just woken up about 10 minutes ago. I know since coming back from Mallorca, I've had a few more subscribers come along, so a big welcome to you if this is the first video you're watching since that Mallorca trip. So the next goal, the next thing we're training for on the horizon is the Gran Fondo Mont Ventoux, which is going to be the second week of June, so only 2 or 3 weeks from today, I think. And I'm extremely excited for it because I've never been to Ventoux. Always heard about it. Charlie's actually done the singles or singles, the 3 ascents in one day, and I've never been there. I've always wanted to go there and like tackle the giant of Provence, right? Which I think lots of people want to do. Is definitely on a lot of people's bucket lists. So today is a bit of a simulation session. I've got like 3 main intervals within a 5-hour ride-ish to do. So I'll take you along for that, and yeah, hopefully my legs are there so I can get something out of this session. So last night I did my second heat session, I suppose you'd call it. I feel like a proper professional cyclist now that I'm doing these heat sessions. Essentially, it just requires me to wear full winter kit. Full winter kit, that's like bib tights, rain cape, you name it, and ride on the indoor trainer for like 30 minutes, 45 minutes. And I'm following some guidelines from a friend who's up at Newcastle University and doing some studies and whatnot on the effect of core body temperature on performance. And he recommends that between now and Mont Ventoux that I do probably 7 to 10 heat sessions. Now, I'm not doing it in any sort of manner that is probably going to bring me as much benefit as if I did it, to the letter, but to be honest, I'm just looking for like a little cherry on top of the cake. I'm not using one of those, the core sensors you can get for your heart rate strap. I've seen they're quite expensive, I think, and I was sort of, do I get one, do I not get one? I've actually been monitoring my core body temperature with this thing, which is just a standard infrared, like that I aim at my chest. And it gets up to like 38.5 degrees Celsius, and that's obviously then, I suppose, my skin temperature, not internal temperature. So take it with a pinch of salt. Like, it's not like clinically approved, but at the end of the day, I'm getting a sweat on. It's feeling uncomfortable, and one of the things I'm tracking is actually my weight before and my weight after. And last night, for just 30 minutes of riding at fairly steady pace, and obviously the last 10 to 15 minutes of that does actually get kind of unbearable, and that's the idea, really. A lot of people would then jump in a hot bath for like an hour afterwards just for that extra bit, and I, to be honest, I can't do that, plus I can't afford the water bill. But to be honest, I lost a kilo in just 30 minutes in fluid. And obviously, it's fundamental that you replace that. I cannot stress that enough, apparently, that you have to replace that. So that's what I've been doing, and that's what I am doing in the next couple of weeks. And yeah, it's kind of interesting. A lot of people saying it's the new altitude training. Like, it brings the majority of people more benefit than altitude training could probably bring, which, yeah, I'm kind of interested to see if that adds up. But yeah, I'm just going to take you through and show you what my nutrition looks like for today, because that is another one of the major things that can affect a session like today is nutrition. And you'll know by now on this channel that it is fundamentally important, like above all else, that you get nutrition right. It literally makes or breaks a session, and especially one like today, it will make a massive impact. So what I've got is 2 750ml bottles. and you'll know I'm sponsored by Sturka, so all of this product is Sturka. You don't have to use it, of course. You can use Haribo, you can use Serene Malt Loaf, you can use things like that. Bananas. I'm actually going for a strategy today that I might try and use at the Gran Fondo Mont Ventoux event, so hence why I'm highly depending on, I guess, fast food nutrition today, and not the sort of fiddly nutrition that you might get with a bar or you know, a bag of Haribo, for example. It's a little bit more difficult to carry around and stuff. So what I've got is 90 grams of carbs in here, which I'm going to drink one of those per hour. And then I've got a 50-gram gel, so that's 140 grams of carbs per hour. Yeah, it's amazing actually just how much you can get in nowadays in such little, I guess, volume, if that's what you want to call it. This first hour, though, as it's probably the least intense hour, the final hour is the most intense, so I'm probably going to use one of those 90-gram bottles and a gel, certainly in that final hour. But this flask has 60 grams of carbs in here, and also a gel as well, so that'll be 110 grams in the first hour. To be honest, I quite like carrying one of these sometimes because, you know, once you drink it, it collapses, and then you can just, you know, shove it down your jersey or whatever. So this is quite a handy thing to have, I find, in these situations. So although the whole ride is going to be fairly long, the actual workout section is only like 3 hours in length. So the idea is that I'll probably finish all this in the 3 hours, and then I'll probably have to stop somewhere and get something else. Either that be a cafe or a petrol station or whatever. Generally though, on a ride like today, which could end up being, you know, 100 miles, 160 kilometers, and, you know, 5 hours or whatever, I probably will stop at a cafe and have something a bit more substantial. You'll often see a lot of pro riders, a lot of even club riders, you know, who go out for a long weekend ride. They'll stop at a cafe and they'll have a bacon sandwich, or they'll have, you know, a cake or something else other than normal nutrition like you see on the bike, because breaking things up and having a little bit of protein and having a little bit of fat and, you know, other things that are actually good for morale as well is really important, I find. It's very old school, but it's still very important, I think, in the whole picture of the nutrition for that day and for that ride.
To be honest though, of all the events in recent time that I can think of that I've trained for, I think this one is somewhat simpler. Like, there's only a couple of climbs on this route, aside from Ventoux itself right at the end, but I think the design of the course is quite good in that it lends itself to maybe a far more group effort type of event. So, you know, usually if you put a lot of climbs in, steep climbs, long climbs, it'll break things up fairly quickly everywhere, like not just at the front of the event for those looking for a fast time, but everywhere. Like, it's just going to cause havoc. And this course, I think, is, from what I could gather from intel and everything else, is very, very mellow until you get to Ventoux itself. And today it's what I've been sort of gradually building myself up for, the fatigue that I'll experience in this last hour and a bit, however long it's going to take me to get up from bed one. But of course, anything can happen in the event. You can only try your best to prepare, and today I'm doing just that with a session that has me doing 2 efforts really before my final 1 hour effort. Yes, I know that's going to be a very, very long effort, but these 2 efforts have been sort of primers, if you will. So the first one was 25 minutes with a hard start for the first couple of minutes, and the second one was just 15 minutes, again with a hard start at the beginning of that as well. So the hard start just obviously increases lactate a little bit earlier, but also is very event specific. If you've ever done, you know, events, races, Gran Fondos, whatever, you try and stay with a group, more often than not they'll hit a climb and they'll go hard at the bottom of it just for a couple of minutes, and then it'll sort itself out and you'll end up finding your rhythm after that. So it's not going to be a perfect replication, of course, but at the end of the day you're just looking for stimulus, and that's what these simulation sessions are all about really. Don't do it very often at all, but sometimes it's just a good way of gauging, you know, what's working, what's not working, nutrition, you know, the training, the pacing, the effort, what I have to do now moving forward, all those good things. So it's you learn a lot from it as well. I don't want to ride on a road when I'm like an absolute mess, weaving and going really slow. You know that feeling, don't you? That was spicy. That's like the deepest I've gone in a workout for a good while, and over that duration as well. Something that sort of quickly comes back to me, like I don't have to do it too often, but I can tell I've not done it a lot in recent weeks, because that was very difficult to maintain concentration as well as, well, ballpark intensity. I mean, the wattage didn't really matter. All that mattered was that I would ride like decently hard for the best part of an hour, and this whole segment took me 55 minutes in the end. I wasn't going to add on those 5 minutes. I'll use that as motivation for progression for the next session. But the damage overall, we're just coming up to 3 hours 45 minutes according to my Wahoo, 3,400 kilojoules and 288 watts normalized power for nearly 4 hours. So, you know, it wasn't a hilly route, you know, it's nowhere near what we'll get at Ventoux, but the intensity is somewhat there, and there's no denying that. An hour and 40 minutes of this ride is spent in and around 330 watts. An hour and 40 minutes. Flipping heck. Disgusting. I have to say, one of the hardest things about doing like an effort late on into a ride like this, you know, like when you're obviously reaching like tough levels of fatigue, especially in the UK, because we haven't got many climbs that are suitable for, you know, the length of some of these efforts and keeping the pressure on. Sometimes you have to like make do with flat roads or undulating roads, but when you're really tired, you know, mentally you just want to switch off, and it's even harder, I'd say, trying to do these efforts on a flat or a rolling road, because like you just want to go uphill, or you just want to be on a turbo trainer where you can just switch off, suffer, and just let, you know, the resistance do the job. Because when you're going uphill or when you're on an indoor trainer, the resistance is somewhat there nearly all the time. On a flat road, undulating road like today, or most people that I bet are listening to this, it's so difficult to like keep that power down and that momentum going, and it can get really demoralizing when the power drops, you know, even by 20 watts, 30 watts. You know, you just got to accept it, unfortunately. You know, it's not the difference in a good and a bad workout whatsoever. I've been doing this long enough now to know that. But you just got to take it for what it is. You know, it's all you can do with what you've got in terms of roads and terrain. It's why indoor training has become so popular, there's no doubt about it. And it's also why, you know, I know lots of folks who go to Mallorca regularly, or, you know, go to mountainous places regularly just to ride their bike more and get out of riding on the UK roads and training on like proper climbs, you know. So hey, it is something that's crossed my mind, of course. Like, obviously it's nice to get away and go up and do some climbs that are suitable for 30-minute, 60-minute effort. But at the end of the day, you know, I enjoy training on roads like this, and I have done for so long that I know no different really. And yeah, it's just, you make use of it and you make of it what you can.